Let's do this.
Yes. All right. And we're live.
Look at this.
Happy Friday, everybody. It's the Mythos Weekly Gear Roundup, and I'm here with...
I'm not Matthew.
Ah!
Oh, pulled a fast one on you. You probably didn't recognize.
It's Robert Baker. You know the joke that Matthew does every time he says your name?
No.
So, back in the day, Dr. Z, they had Dave Baker.
Oh,
doing all
Demo. Yeah,
and
amazing player.
He's incredible, and he would always say, "Hey, everybody, it's Dave Baker." He was real chill. And so every time I say, "Oh yeah, Robert's coming," but he's like, "Robert Baker."
Robert Baker.
So maybe you should adopt that.
I've made a new thing.
It could be,
I guess.
but
Robert Baker.
we're just gonna hang out. We're gonna talk about. We've both just fallen into a sea of new equipment ourselves,
Yes.
and there's been a few things that came out this week, some news and stuff. But we started talking about this in particular, so I think we're just going to dive right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Bam, the new Keeley,
All the new Keeley.
all the
new
Keeley all the time. So we've got the Blues Disorder, the Super Rodent, the Angry Orange to go with the Noble Screamer. So, did you play the Noble Screamer?
I've played none of them.
Okay.
The Halo is the only recent Keeley that I've played, and I love the Halo.
Yeah. I feel like the Halo has become, like, in addition to the compressor, like one of their top pedals they make. But so these came out this week. Kind of like the Blues Disorder. I think Bukovac let that slip into the universe a few weeks ago.
Oh,
or
did
a month
he?
or so ago.
No.
But yeah, so if you don't know, this is basically Keeley's attempt to combine two circuits and then offer up the clipping from one or the other and then the tone stack from one or the other. But it was an interesting launch because they launched 3 at once.
At once.
So what do you think about that? Because you're on another side of the camera.
Yeah.
You know.
For me, like, I guess from a lot of perspectives, it's kind of a lot to take in. Because, like, I just saw it. I'm like, oh, another new Keeley pedal. I'm like, it's 3 new Keeley pedals.
And another.
And each pedal is 2 pedals, essentially.
Yes.
So I'm like.
Kind of.
Isn't it 2 circuits? Are they all that way, like the Noble Screamer? Or
Yeah, they're all that way. And I think they call it a 4-in-1.
4-in-1.
Which, I mean, it's a good marketing idea to say that this one pedal has 4 sounds in it.
Yeah.
But like where do you draw the line? Because, you have low gain and high gain. Is that 2 different sounds for each pedal? Does that
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but it's a weird thought to say, "Oh, this is a 4-in-1," because it feels more like a 2-in-1, but even still you can only use one at a time. So, but I think the idea is he takes the basic topology of a couple circuits and then allows you to kind of reroute the drive to be like on this Blues Disorder here, to be, let's see, here it is. Wait, that's drive, a Blues Breaker or OCD.
OCD, yeah.
Which is interesting because those circuits are wildly different. And then the tone knob, I don't know about the tone knob on an OCD. I mean, it obviously sounds different.
Yeah.
Than a Blues Breaker, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. I've played the Noble Screamer, and I liked it in Screamer mode, and I liked it in Nobles mode, but all the in-between stuff didn't really appeal to me.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I don't know.
So, is that what they're going for? Because, like, I mean, a Noble and a Screamer are very different.
Very different.
So, is that kind of what they want, opposite spectrums of all these pedals? Because I'm not sure what the other 2 are. I saw the Blues Breaker.
Yeah, and so there's the Super Rodent, which combines like an SD1
and a Rat.
And a Rat. So a Tube Screamer and a Rat, which is interesting because I feel like the Tube Screamer and the Rat those were like a pair that you would use together.
Yeah, like a normal.
Yeah, like if you're in a heavy rock band, you would pair those 2.
Yeah.
And like some of these I think make a lot more sense than others. I think this makes sense because like an SD1 is a soft clip circuit, whereas a Rat is a hard clip circuit. So there's strong delineation between the sound of like the way it distorts, and then the tone stack in those is wildly different as well. So I think it's interesting, the idea in this one. And then the other one is a Big Muff and a DS1, the Angry Orange.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, why is that an orange? But
yeah, yeah, you get it.
Yeah,
you get it. But I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing. I think it's a really brave thing to say, hey, I'm going to put out 3 pedals all at once, and we're going to just blanket the internet with it. What do you guys in the chat think about that? Because I don't know. It's from a consumer standpoint, I could see where it might be a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, I think that's where I was coming from. It just seemed like a lot, and then I think it would. I mean, wouldn't it cannibalize sales essentially? Because like if someone's gonna buy one pedal, say they have money to buy one pedal right now,
right?
And then like, okay, well I'll pick the Blues Breaker one. What's it called?
The Blues Disorder.
Blues Disorder. And like even though they want the other one too, well in 3 months I'll have money to buy that one. But in that 3 months, some other pedal is gonna appear,
right? And
it's not gonna be the Keeley or something. So that's just me thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting thing to kind of just cross your fingers and hope that that people will either remember or get all of them.
Yeah.
So
it's a good price point.
I mean, $200. I think it's fine. I think it's a competitive price for what you're getting. I like the new enclosure that Robert and company are doing, this angled sort of thing.
Oh, I didn't know it was angled. I do like that.
Yeah, I personally would never do an angled pedal, if for just a multitude of really like stupid nerdy reasons about like how much of a pain it is to print on something with an incline. But I do like what they're doing with that. But yeah, Mark in the chat says he heard the reason that they did it because it got leaked. And I guess that makes sense. But the only one that I knew that got leaked was the Blues Disorder. So
yeah.
And the Noble Screamer, I feel like the Noble Screamer kind of got out of the gate before it was released, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, I know Keeley and them, they're making all their own stuff now. Like,
yeah.
Maybe that's why they went to these new chassis and everything. Like they do everything in house. And
yeah.
Robert's awesome. Like
yeah,
I love Robert.
Yeah, he's an incredible guy. He's an OG. The enclosures, PJ, are metal. They're aluminum. And yeah, F5 Manufacturing, Jacob, he's the guy that's making all these for Robert. But it's like he had the facility for making enclosures. He does all of our enclosures. And so he was working with Robert for this whole bent metal thing.
Yeah.
And I dig that part of it, and it's something that we're looking at too, because it's a lot. The enclosures themselves are actually really a lot easier to print on and powder coat, because what you're getting when you buy a normal, like this, like a Mjolnir enclosure, the raw aluminum enclosure can be really rough.
You're right,
because it's a cast, enclosure, so it's got imperfections. But these are made out of like a big sheet of like perfectly smooth aluminum. So there's no imperfections, there's no bumps or anything. So what you're left with is a much better starting point than the old school Hammond style boxes. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious.
Does anyone have these?
Yeah. Anyone in the chat? Do you have one? And by the way, we've already got 1 thumbs down, only 6 thumbs up. So give us a thumbs up, everybody, if you're hanging out.
I brought the hater.
No, I
told him to show up.
It's always me. Someone's like, "Oh, this guy again." Why are you here?
I say that every time.
Yeah, I know. Every time I text Robbie, he's like, "Oh man, this guy."
This guy again.
But get shitty, which I love your username, shitty.
That's my new favorite catchphrase.
Are the Keeley pedals too homogeneous? That's a good question. I feel like they're doing a good job at differentiating them with the color. But they're man, Keeley, they come out with a lot of stuff. It's like, they kind of hit on a platform like the Halo, the Hydra, the Ecos, whatever that one is, ECCOS. Those obviously look like they're built on a very similar platform with all the knobs.
Yeah.
But everything else, I feel like kind of has its own identity. Some of these little 3-knob back in the smaller enclosures, those can kind of look, because they do so many colorways that sometimes you might not immediately know what it is. But I feel like the new ones with the colored knobs and the printing and stuff, it's easily identifiable.
Yeah, they definitely jump out.
Let's see. Octopus Ears has a super app mod. Same thing as the Muse driver. Yeah. Really cool modified BD2 blues driver thing. But let's move on to some other big news.
Yes. What we've all been waiting for. Money in hand.
Are you waiting for this?
No.
So they finally announced the price of this.
Nice and cool.
Holy cats, it says it's already out of stock.
Yeah.
So
I was asking Dinesh over there, like, is there any way I can play one? He's like, dude, they're gonna be gone before they ever even hit the market.
So the Jimmy Page EDS 1275 double neck. I saw a photo of one at the Nashville Gibson Garage. That photo could have been taken at any time, but it was hanging up. $50,000.
Crazy.
The greenie was $50,000, but you got to have a dinner and hang with Kirk Hammett. I don't know how much that's worth. That could be worth a lot to you.
Yeah.
Less to others. But this bad boy, he apparently played and signed each one of them,
which is cool.
It's very cool. But holy cow, man!
Yeah,
$50,000. And I mean, I think they're on the money here. One of the most iconic guitars in history. It is definitely one of the most recognizable guitars in rock and roll. Period.
I mean, the video they had that debuted it was perfect because you didn't even see who it was.
Oh,
and they didn't even play a Zeppelin song.
They played Rumble.
They played Rumble. and you knew it's Jimmy Page. That's a double neck. You when you can tell by the silhouette of a person and a guitar, you're like, okay.
Yeah,
you've got something.
You can just kind of tell by how Jimmy Page walks that that's Jimmy Page. He has such a swagger. And stride. But yeah, so this one apparently, we've talked about it before, but there are only 50 that they made.
I didn't know there were only 50.
So very rare, or this will become a rare thing. This, I think, undoubtedly will become the most sought after Gibson in recent memory. I don't
for sure,
because what else kind of tops this?
So my question about the guitar is, where do you find strings for it? Because his tailpiece is so far back, unlike a normal. If you guys don't know what a normal double neck looks like, the tailpiece was not that far back.
Yeah, it's more it's kind of where the second row of knobs starts.
Yeah,
or where the switch is.
Yeah, because his original one was a custom ordered guitar, and I don't know why he did that.
I don't think they were still producing that guitar at that time, but he wanted one, so they made him one. But yeah, maybe someone can pull you a string that long. Maybe Stringjoy can sell some
extra long Jimmy Page length
style strings. But yeah, I mean, what a hassle to restring. I mean, if you're playing this enough to restring it that often, good for you. But yeah, how far?
I mean, think about that.
From the bottom of the guitar to the top of the headstock.
I mean, look how much longer it is than the 6.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's like 2 strings. You just tie 2 strings together, and
right? Yeah, you just take some of those old you just put it through the ball end.
Yeah.
And just pull it.
Just hopefully it's over behind the nut.
Man, get shitty. No one who bought this will play it enough to need a restring. I hope they do.
I know.
I hope they do, because what's the point?
Yeah.
The one time at the shop, I mean, I feel like everyone's so tired of hearing me wax poetic about Carter vintage guitars, but a guy said he had like one of the #1 Jimmy Page replicas, and he said he never played it. Like he said, it just lives in its case, tucked away. And I was like, dude, that's really sad. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, you have a replica of one of the greatest rock and roll guitars of all time, and you don't play it? Like, get rid of it.
Get the lead out.
Yeah,
man.
dude. Yeah, man.
It's already it's gonna be nicked and dinged up anyways, because it was a relic just like Page's, wasn't it? Or is they do like a clean one?
I don't know. I feel like they did like a replica. It's been I mean, that was like the early days of replica guitars.
Yeah.
Oh, Zach Exception. Oh, you can see me over there. Oh, my bad. Boink. Investment guitars. Yeah, definitely. Does anyone actually play a double neck? I mean, people do.
Yeah. I mean, we were kind of talking about that. Like, I mean, if you're at home, to me, it makes no sense. Like,
no.
Buy a Fender 12 or a Vox Phantom or something if you want to get a vintage, guitar, and then a normal SG.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Page wanted it surely for like the sake of being able to play a song like live,
just on stage. I mean, it's a means to an end.
I don't think he was in the studio. I mean, if you think about it, he had the 12 string whenever he was doing Livin', Lovin', Made and all that stuff, and that was all on a Phantom and a Fender 12. So
yeah, I think Stairway was a Fender 12.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny because like if you wanted to be so hyper specific with those tones, I mean.
It wasn't
this guitar technically.
It's not it.
I mean, this is gonna sound like Song Remains the Same and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like all those live recordings and movies and stuff that we all kind of grew up on, or at least. It's funny to say as people who are so much younger than when Led Zeppelin was in their heyday, that we grew up on this and I mean technically we did,
but not in the
moment. Like my dad. He actually saw Zeppelin in I think 75 or so, and I was so like pumped when I found that out. I was like, "Oh my gosh, Dad, what was it like? How was it?" And he's like, "Son, I don't remember.
I don't remember."
He's like, "I was on a different planet."
Yeah.
So my dad had a great time. He still does. But yeah, I don't know. Like I think it's cool. I think. All of this just begs the question: what's next?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, who's next? I mean,
who's next?
Who's next?
What do you want to see coming out of the custom shop? Like, what's going to get you?
Well, there's a couple.
Excited? Okay.
So, as your friend, I want to see Billy Gibbons.
Oh man,
that's
more than anything. On
the
planet.
I mean, for myself too, but I mean, for me, my top guitarists are Eddie Van Halen and Jimmy Page. So this is kind of like peak. Other than if they come out with the one, again, that one. I mean, I think it'd be cool if they did some, Explorers or something like. Oh my God, Rick Emmett, or any of those guys. I forget his name. Cheap Trick.
Oh,
yeah, Rick Nielsen.
Rick Nielsen.
Rick Nielsen. Like, yeah.
I don't know who that. I'm just gonna nod.
I'm just gonna nod. I meant Rick Nielsen. I think that'd be cool. Dude, get one of his Explorers or something like that.
Oh yeah, the Budokan guitar. Like
wow. I mean, come on, that would be cool.
Oh yeah.
You can charge $50,000 for it too.
Oh, easy. And Rick would be like, he'd probably just hang out at the Gibson garage all day. Like the few times I was ever around. Have you ever met him?
No.
Man, he's funny. He's exactly what he seems.
Really?
He has so many picks that he'll say, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you. You want to pick?" And he will pull his hand out of his pocket. And they will spill out everywhere, like like hundreds of guitar picks. He's wild, but yeah, I mean, what a cool thing.
Yeah,
is there anything? Because to me, like getting Pearly is like, that you
mount.
That's it. I'm done until the next thing.
Until the next Pearly.
But yeah, until the more accurate Pearly comes out. But is there a guitar that you would actually be willing to say, hey, look, I'm going to sell like all this stuff and I'm going to make this happen? Like, does that guitar exist for you?
if they did another one of the Page one, obviously I could. It would need to be like the more affordable greenie.
the 20 grand one.
The 20 grand one. I'd just sell everything. But I mean, to me, that one would be, especially if it was like Page played it and signed it, I'd be like, all right. I know that it probably means nothing to a lot of people, but to me, it would just mean a lot because
I totally get it, because like my Les Paul, for all intents and purposes, is exactly what I would ever want out of that shaped guitar.
Yeah.
It does everything I'd ever need. It sounds exactly how it's supposed to sound. And undoubtedly, if they do a Pearly, and they will, I would still want it.
Yep.
And my friends and like my wife and people some people just don't get that.
Yeah.
And even now, I have a save search on Reverb for the old Pearlies. You know, I'm holding out hope that one day there'll be one that has like a headstock repair or something, you know, because there's just something about getting something that you know that your hero said, yeah,
yep,
I'm good with that.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but it's just like, and some people think it's
a
crazy.
Deep psychosis.
Yeah, they're like, why would you like? That would mean like my dad would be like, that's the dumbest thing, boy. Like, why? Well, who cares about Jimmy Page? I'm like, me,
man,
because I have listened to him just as many hours as I have Eddie Van Halen, and
yeah,
I mean,
and you have a Franken Strat, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
I got one of those. Like, luckily, I got one well, it took about a year to get it because they were so back ordered, but yeah, I have one of those.
And those are I think for the money, because they're relatively affordable, like in the grand scheme of like Relic signature guitars.
And they did a decent job on it.
I think they're really nice.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I would spend a little bit of time with to try to finesse it. It's like, because you could find the quarter.
I have a quarter, yeah.
Do you? Have you drilled the holes in it?
I haven't drilled it on yet, but Derek sent me one.
Oh, okay.
As soon as I got it, he's like, "Do you need a quarter?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Here, I got one." My wife like saved these because he got one too, and he's like, "I got one for you." So I have it in a case in the Frankie case. But
well, it's one of those things that I feel like you spend like a little bit of time and effort and energy, you can like elevate it. Like for guys like us,
yeah,
like that is the thing that just makes it go from being like just cool to everyone else to being so special and personal to you.
Mm-hmm.
And even on that the Esquire, I just got the Relic one.
Yeah, have they seen it?
I have posted a picture of it.
It's
let me grab it.
Amazing. It's such a good guitar. As soon as you grab it, like the neck, you're like, oh, yep, I like this.
So this guitar, it was a custom order by Gruen Guitars. And the first thing I noticed was because it was hanging up. I was like, oh man, it's got the reverse bridge, it's got the left-handed bridge on it, which I immediately prefer because I think having the snap on the low E and just having that. Well, I mean, it's not the pole piece is what, maybe a 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah,
higher.
It's just a little.
It's very minor, but it makes a big difference sonically to the high string, just the top end response, the immediate attack. It kind of softens it. It gives it more of like a P90 sort of bloom to the high end.
Well, and on an Esquire, it helps.
Right. Yeah, because this, I mean, it is a sharp knife if you want it to be. But the neck, because it had been played and hanging up, you know, it was a little grody. Like people had definitely tried this guitar.
Yeah.
I've already had it in the shop with like Scotch-Brite.
Really?
To smooth the neck out a little bit more, because I'm like, you know, I can feel the grain and some other people's gunk
on
so
there.
I'm just gonna smooth, because it's all like the neck is like all beat up on the back anyways. So.
Yeah.
Well, not beat up, but
it's kind of a hybrid. I mean, it's got a couple
weird.
different things. Like I said, it's almost like a 51 mixed with
because the Esquire was Fender's first electric guitar.
Yeah.
Came out before the Broadcaster.
Yeah, in 50.
In 50. So it has like a 50-51 Broadcaster style pickup, so a real early like a lap steel style pickup. But the neck is like a 57. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a big
It's
neck.
like 9.4 here and then an inch here, which is way bigger than my Les Paul.
Yeah, it's a baseball, and I love that they use the slotted screws. They kept it old school. The wiring is a little funky though. It's not.
It has the Eldred mod up here.
Yeah.
What is that 3?
I call it 3.
Okay, because it's always backwards.
Yeah, I say bridge is 1. but
Yeah, yeah.
but a lot of people call bridge 3 and neck 1.
It's easier just to say the position if it's a 2 pickup guitar.
Yeah.
But the Eldred mod, so it gives you like a cocked wah sound,
Mhm.
and then normal, and then no tone.
No
so
tone.
you just
The
you
true
get
Esquire.
the true bite on the true back position, and it's routed for a neck pickup.
Oh, but which is true. I mean, they all were, weren't they?
I don't know if the first ones weren't. I don't think. But it makes sense. Like, why would Fender like cut a bunch of bodies and like not put a neck pickup?
Yeah, because I know. I thought it was that Leo always intended it to be a 2 pickup guitar, but he didn't have the neck pickup the way he wanted it, or whatever.
Oh,
so
really?
a lot of the early ones have neck pockets.
Oh, they do?
Neck pickup slots in them, but
well, it's there. So the only thing I could foresee doing would be putting like a stealth pickup under the pick guard.
Have you tried one of those?
I've seen them. I've played them, but I've never owned anything.
Yeah, I've always wanted to put one.
Because I know Seymour Duncan does like the Brad Paisley neck that's like super hot.
Secret Agent or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
it's cool. And one of my favorite things is underneath where the heel adjust is, it's actually routed out so you can get to it without taking the neck off.
Yes.
So there's like a big chunk gone under the. I mean, it's like intentional.
Yeah. Well, Esquires are nice because I mean, you like, 5-6 screws, 7 screws, and then you're pop the whole thing off.
Right.
But,
and I don't like this thing. It's even already. It's gone through some humidity changes with the weather, and it's not moved at all. So, and Rhett says all his custom shop Fender stuff he's ever had has been like rock solid. So
is it?
Hopefully this won't wiggle too much. Yeah. Let me hang this back up.
Yeah, that thing. As soon as you sent me a picture of it, I'm like, man. Well, so Billy Gibbons' question for you.
Sure, let's do it.
Have they ever done like an Esquire with Fender or anything like that? Has there ever been a Billy Fender? Because I mean, he's so known for the Esquire.
Right. Well, all of the Esquires that Billy's ever played, in the modern era, have been built for him. Like they're like ghost built.
Yeah.
And it's the guy that does all his super high end flashy guitar. I can't remember his name. You guys probably know. But
isn't Tres Hombres? Isn't that Esquire?
He used either a broadcaster or a no-caster on Jesus Just Left Chicago. I've played that guitar, which was weird. It had no frets, so it was it wasn't a fun experience.
Yeah.
But there's definitely times when you listen, if you really pay attention, that you're like, oh, that is not a Les Paul.
Right.
Because Pearly is on like every record, but not on every track.
Yeah.
So, your 50s vibe Squire Telly looks like that, but was 350 instead of 5,000. Well, that wasn't 5,000. It was 4,700.
So in your face.
No. But it's totally different. And like Tellys are Tellys to an extent.
Yeah.
But then there are things that will take a guitar and just make it. And that one, like that red guitar is a Ventera Telly and it rules.
Yeah.
I've had classic vibes that ruled. I had classic vibes that are complete and utter just dog shit.
Yeah.
So, Bolin guitar is correct. But that guitar, the moment you play it, and you're like, if you're in Nashville, send me a message, come by the shop. I'll let you play it. And it's one of those things you go, oh, I get it.
As soon as your hand touches it, you realize.
It's electric.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
And I've had some of those moments with people, and I'm sure we all kind of have when you live in this guitar space where you get that interaction. It's like, my Epiphone is better than X or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I have never, ever once thought that because something is not Fender Custom Shop or Gibson Custom, that is any lesser. It's just different. But oftentimes I've found the people that want to die on that hill just haven't had a chance to try these things.
Yeah, because they're all, like you said, they're all different.
They're all different.
Different vibes. I've played classic vibes that, like you said, are incredible. I'm like, I can't believe this is a $400 guitar.
Right.
Like, I'm blown away by it. And I've seen them where the neck was so squirrely on them. I'm like, man, this thing's going to be bent in a U in a week if this thing, I mean. We ordered some for some stuff from Fender. And I think that was where I messed up. I should have bought it from
Sweetwater CME or something.
Mhm.
The neck pocket was crooked.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is this neck? Like, then I looked and I took the neck pocket off, and you could see that it was.
That
You'll never get it right.
Get the shims out.
A sideways shim.
Sideways shim.
Who. Anyway, so you've come into some new gear. You've been on an amp journey.
Yes.
So tell the fine people. Can you tell? Or you want to save this?
No, I'll tell them.
Okay, it could be a
I ain't
surprise.
scared. I'll tell you. No, well, it's been like a unplanned gear journey. The one piece of gear comes out Sunday. The guitar. The if anybody knows what a Voyager is.
Oh,
that is cool. But we're talking about the amps. I finally ordered a Z-Rec, which I've wanted, and you helped kind of convince me.
Yeah,
I was going Z80, Z-Rec, and you're like, you're gonna like a Z-Rec, and I'm like, all right. I trust in Zach. So, that's coming. But
and have you not played one yet, or did you?
No, I played a Z-Rec.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I've played them. That's why I was talking with them. So I reached out to the guys at Dr. Z, not to send me an amp or anything. I bought it normal, everything like normal price. I just asked them to record it. Like, could you record it so we could add it? I want to make a video about it, document it and stuff. So they're doing all kinds of stuff. And Mike is like, he's like, yeah, and I'll give like insight into what they're doing. I'm like, that's perfect. I like, dude, that's amazing. And
Dr. Z himself.
Yeah, I'm like, that is perfect. That's what we want. So I was talking to them yesterday about like, I go, what do you want to do? I'm like, record everything.
Yeah.
I go, too much is not enough. So I'm like,
right.
Just give me all this stuff, and then if we need more, they're like, if you need more, if you need specific things, we can work out this. But I think they said early next month it should be done.
Well, there's something about Dr. Z, and I think that they are living in a space that I feel like most boutique guitar amps have not. They've moved away from. They are still completely handmade by a team up in Ohio. And
Mike still works on some of the stuff.
Mike's still just doing stuff.
Yeah.
He might answer the phone when you call him.
He does.
And they're still really affordable. I mean, in the grand scheme of like boutique amps.
Oh, yeah.
They are undoubtedly the best value and the most bang for your buck with any amp. But what is it you're trying to do? Because like I understand the appeal of the rec and that sort of thing, but why were you wanting to go down that path as opposed to some of the other ways you could have gone?
Other ones? I just kind of played one, and I like the chime of it. Part of it is because I'm on this like huge country journey. But I played a Z-Rec, and I'm like, oh, this isn't a country, because everyone, Brad Paisley, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, it's cool. I love that. And then I played it. I'm like, dude, this is a rock amp. Oh, like 100%. This is not a country amp. I mean, it can do the country thing, obviously, but I'm like, this is just a straight up rock and roll amp.
Oh, I think there's a huge misconception about what train wrecks were.
Yeah.
Because the Z-Rec is like the last thing that Ken Fisher had any sort of hand in.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing about it, I think, is all the labeling on the knob is actually Ken's handwriting. And they replicated it to print it. And that's
I love it. And then that's part of it
cool.
too. I'm like, to me, that's cool. Just the backstory of it.
But they are, every train wreck I've ever come across, and the Z-Rec specifically, has such, like the cleans and the chime are just remarkable. But the moment you hit it hard, it just is, there's nothing else that kind of sounds like that train wreck, Z-Rec gain thing. But it's so saturated and yet dynamic and responsive. They're so much fun to play.
Yeah.
They're also the most disrobing amp.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, playing a 100-watt Marshall stack is pretty much, you just feel so naked.
Yeah.
But the Z-Rec is just so raw that when I had one, it made me go, I have to really practice. I spent more time just noodling on my guitar unplugged, so when I plugged into it, I would be better.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny you say that, because what's kind of brought on this whole amp journey, like you were asking, was I've realized that I've played through modelers for so long, the Axe effects and all that stuff, that when I got my hands on a real amp and had to play, I'm like, oh, it's so much less forgiving than modelers. And I'm my whole like guitar resolution this year is like, I'm getting away from modelers and I'm moving to real amps, and I need to get some nice real amps. Like I have the Revs, which are really great, but they kind of have their own thing. But like at my heart, I'm way more like Marshall Vox than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of my thing. And I'm like, well, the Z-Rec is right there in that world.
Right.
And, you know, and then obviously then you need a Marshall.
Yeah. And so now, and you also have acquired one, is it 100 watt?
It's a 100 watt, 4-channel, jump it and dump it.
Oh man, it's just a standard super lead sort of replica from Marshall.
It's the new hand wired one.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, we need to have just a big amp party.
I'm gonna bring them over. I'm bringing.
Oh no, can I come to you?
Yeah. Come on, dude. Let's take the HOA off.
Oh,
you know?
Oh man. Well, yeah, I guess
I don't have a 4x12 is the issue.
Oh yeah, then bring it here.
Yeah.
We'll do it on a Saturday when I can actually dive into this thing. So I recently, if you follow Mythos on Instagram, I assume you follow both of us if you're here hanging out. And thank you guys. And by the way, I don't know, I didn't even say this. Up at there it is. Free USA shipping this weekend. Use coupon code BAKER on mythospedals.com. You get free shipping in the States.
It's all because of me.
It is because of him. It's got his name
on it.
Look
at this. Look at this. I'm your guy.
But the what in the world? Oh, I got the T-Rock.
Yes.
What was I saying?
I was gonna say, talk about this.
So the Vintage Deluxe, I had ordered it at NAMM, and I told Eli, "Is like I have to have one. I'll pick out a color." And this was at 2023's April NAMM.
So 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty much.
Feels like.
Yeah.
And because I immediately fell in love with it, and it's all good. And I got the Esquire, and then that thing just arrived, and it's really good. It has the 115. I feel like the 15 needs to break in. It feels a little stiff on, like, you hit really high notes when you crank it, and it has that sort of raspy top end that a new speaker has.
Yeah.
And I think that'll go away. But man, oh man, that thing is like the quintessential Fender sound. Every Fender sound you could ever want, except it doesn't have harmonic tremolo. It has a bias tremolo, that's fine for me. And it's the 35 watt tube rectified. It's insane.
That's my favorite T-Rock that I've played.
Well,
is this one.
It was one of those things. It's like you don't really know, because I literally played it for like 5 minutes before NAMM opened, and I was smitten by it, and I put that order in, but I hadn't played it.
Really?
I hadn't played another one since. So I just thought, But yeah, it's like the light suede with the ox blood. I saw a picture of that and said that's the way to go. But the coolest thing about that is how well it takes humbuckers, and we plugged it into the 4x12 PRS cab that has the cream backs. And it was just like, oh man,
that was it.
Yeah, I mean, you put it in, like, the tweed mode, and it just sounds. I mean, a Marshall and a Basement are basically the same thing for the most part, and it just ripped it. And it has that sort of low gain Marshall thing, like when you know this, you listen to all those old records, and they're not that distorted.
No,
like at all.
No, most of them super. I mean, almost clean at times.
Yeah, we were listening to some early UFO yesterday, and like it sounds loud, but it's not that gainy.
I mean, look at old Sabbath, like War Pigs. I'm like, I mean, it's not.
It just sounds loud.
Yeah, and it probably was.
I bet it was so loud.
Just dime.
Will it chug? No, I don't think the Vintage Deluxe will chug. Not on its own. I don't know. I do have my Kirk Hammett guitar here. We could plug that into it. It might make it chug.
To be continued.
We'll see. Captain Sexy asked, Robert, how's that old Strat?
Oh man, that thing's awesome. Yeah. I want to get it set up. So a buddy of mine's gonna like set it up real good for me. Real nice.
You got it refretted not too long ago, right?
Yeah, at Glazier's. They did it for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they did. Another situation where they let me. I'm like, hey, can I record you guys doing that?
I mean, if you're gonna take it to anywhere to get that sort of work done, they're the best.
Yeah.
Are there differences on the Golden Fleece? Just visual. So the very, 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 very first Golden Fleece that were big and they had the ram's head on them, those are different. After that, they're all basically the same, just different builds. Gavin asked, "Do we like Supros? Do you like Supros, Robert Baker?"
I do. Well, are you talking guitars or amps? Because
Oh, that is a good question. Probably amps.
I like the amps.
You don't like the guitars?
The ones I've played, I like. I guess the ones I played wouldn't stay in tune. So
older ones, or
I think it was newer.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. Maybe I just had like a bad one, and maybe they're all better than that. But
maybe.
Yeah.
Is the Z-Rex Vox-like? It kind of. It's like if a Vox and a Marshall had a baby that.
Which is what drew me to it. It's
rocked.
I mean, if you are wanting a AC30 or something like that, then it might not be the ideal situation to
that
to
would
go
be
that.
Liverpool.
Is that what theirs is? Like
that would be more the AC.
Yeah.
Thing, which I mean, the Trainwreck is like they're making amps again with permission from the family, so you can get a new Trainwreck. I have no idea how much they cost. Probably a lot, but I mean, if you want the real deal, you got to pay the real money, I guess. Ugh.
Who thinks Zach should get a new Trainwreck?
I don't need a train. Look at what I have. I'm dying in here. I'm drowning in stuff. Les Paul or SG? Octopus.
Oh, Les Paul for sure. All day.
Same. I like SGs, but mostly for standing up.
So weird. Standing up, they're like incredibly comfortable.
Yes.
And I do like how different an SG sounds from a Les Paul. I mean, it probably sounds better.
What do you think defines the SG sonic like footprint? Because I have an opinion, so I want to know what you think it is.
I don't know
how does it differ than a Les Paul?
It's not as big as a Les Paul.
Mm-hmm.
It seems so much more like focused almost. Or
yeah. It has a mid-range focus.
Yeah.
And a lack of low-end thump that a Les Paul doesn't have, but that makes it just cut in such a different way. I've owned mini SGs, but
I still have one.
I always would reach for a Les Paul. Have I completed the Robin aesthetic with the new white telly and blonde two-rock? Kind of. I have no ability to play at all like Robin Ford. I mean, I could play a G chord like Robin Ford, maybe.
Whoa, now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't want to get presumptuous. Oh, okay. I recently explained in-room feedback versus gain or distortion to my wife. I think that's the mojo on a lot of old records. 100%. And my wife and I have similar conversations when she's like, I really am having trouble falling asleep, and so I'll just talk about that sort of.
Like, I got you. I got you.
Hold on. We're going to talk about how loud these records were. Oh, Captain Sexy, what year is your Strat, Robert? He has an Olympic white 63 with matching headstock. Cool.
Ooh, mine's 63 as well. Only thing that's kind of funky is mine's an ash body, not a.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's not alder. Because that was how. So if you don't know the story of my Strat, I got to know the original owner who got it when he was 14, and it got ordered that way, and he had it his whole life until he had to sell it. He was later in his 60s. He sold it to pay for a roof that they needed. And about 3 months later, the guy who bought it refinished it. And I happened to see it, bought it. And then turns out he lives like 30 minutes from where I used to live in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so the guitar it spent its whole life in Ohio.
That's awesome.
Left for like 3 months to California. Well, I guess it started in California. Went to Ohio. Back to California, got refinished. And then
so Fender refinished it?
No.
Oh.
It was like Fiesta Finishes out.
Oh, okay.
So, some guy bought it off of him on eBay.
Oh.
But so yeah, like to me it was like the cool. Like Jim had pictures. I have documentation of everything. The entire life of this guitar. I'm like, man, that's priceless.
That's really cool. Like we have a vintage J50 acoustic that was from. I bought it at an auction in my hometown, and the guy played it at like line dance, line dance thing and barn dances.
Yeah.
Like every weekend, and it's got the marks like where the second and third fret from the capo.
Mm-hmm.
All the frets down, like the first 5 frets were gone, but those are the only frets I had to get replaced.
Yeah.
But like it's got the sound hole where, and it was just one guy. I don't know if he owned it the entire time, but the family said he played it every weekend.
Wow.
And so
that's cool.
Cool to have a guitar from my hometown,
Kind of worn out, like Trigger worn out?
Not quite that much.
Not that much.
Just how You can see the ripples of the spruce down
Yeah, okay.
past the high E, and it's been played. There's cleats inside it, and like the top is separated, and
Oh, that's
so it's been
cool.
put back
That's
together.
awesome.
But it's one of those guitars that, like, acoustics are, I think, like the magic of finding your acoustic is like finding a cool electric guitar is really fun.
Yeah.
But there's something about finding an acoustic that when you hold it and play it, it like, because an acoustic guitar vibrates your body.
Yeah. Whole different.
It's a total different thing. And man, when you find the one, it's just like
all right.
It's so meant to be. It's really really interesting. Rand got your Angus course and it rules.
Oh, thank you.
Will you do
man.
a Malcolm course? Any recommendations to get the right tone? Maybe with the Wildwood Mjolnir or Golden Fleece. I don't think you could use a Golden Fleece, but use a Mjolnir. You could get some Mjolnir.
I would need to get a Gretsch if I wanted to.
I
would commit if I was going to do it. Man, Malcolm is so hard to play. Like, it's as difficult as Angus is. Angus is way more natural, I guess. Like the more kind of like blueprint of a rock guitar player,
right?
And Malcolm is like try to actually play the intro to Thunderstruck. The part that's underneath, like not the lead bit that everyone does. Do the little rhythm thing that Malcolm's doing. It's not easy.
Right.
It's so simple, and you're like, oh, I'm really like I'm all over the place. Like his pocket is just like I don't know if I'm good enough to do that.
I think so many people, because like usually when the song starts on a lot of those AC/DC like hits, is Malcolm.
Yeah.
And like there is a specific sound to his Gretsch and his Marshall and his hand that I think a lot of people just assume that's just Angus on all the records. But man,
it's not. I mean, Shoot to Thrill, Angus, da na na na.
Yeah.
But then who comes with like the sweetest riff ever? Malcolm. In your face, and it's so good. And then if you're not paying attention, you fall out of that pocket real quick. And I'm like, that's a tough little riff.
Right. That's why they're just like stomping their feet the whole time. He's standing still. He's just like thinking like 1, 2, 3, 4. But man, like we were just listening to AC/DC this past week talking about like how good the guitar sounds are, especially on Highway to Hell. I think like that is the blueprint of rock guitar. The drums, the guitar, everything on that record is just so perfect in its mix and the way it was recorded. Oh man, it makes me happy.
It's just perfect.
Let's see. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up. Nashville hot chicken is bomb. Yes, it is. What's your favorite hot chicken?
Well, there's a place in McDougal's. Have you ever been there?
Oh, they do chicken strips.
Yeah. Or you just mean like?
Well, I mean, it all counts. McDougal's is fantastic.
Yeah, I love McDougal's. I'm a sucker because I'm still like new here.
Oh,
Hattie B's.
Hattie B's is good. I mean,
like it.
I've always liked Bolton's, but Bolton's is like I have to prepare my body.
Am I ready for this?
Yeah, like do I have Pepto-Bismol at home and a loaf of bread?
Yeah. Go to Party Foul.
Yeah, I like Party Foul.
I'd pick McDougal's over if I was like to go to one. I'm like I just want to go to McDougal's. I go to Carter's, then I go to McDougal's.
Oh, yeah. Where is McDougal's? Oh, that's okay. Yeah, it's like a bit of a hike.
A little bit. It's not too far.
Okay. Well, hit us up with a few more questions. If you ask the question, repeat it. Again, free USA shipping. MythosPedals.com. Use code Baker. That's until Sunday night. And yeah, man. So what do you got going on while we're waiting for some more questions to pop up? What do you got going on this week? Anything new, fun, exciting?
Not too much. So this whole month is kind of like a wash for us. I think this week is the only week where I have essentially like nothing going on because my dad just came and visited South Carolina, and then next week my mom will be coming and visiting. Then it's Mason's birthday, and
it's spring break.
Yeah, spring break is this week. Yeah. So Mason got a new bike, so we're putting that together. And,
fun.
And I think that pretty much sums up what I'll be.
Oh man,
I'll be doing.
Well, next week is the Amigo Guitar Show starts next weekend.
Yes, I forgot about that. I'll be going to that.
So yeah, we're gonna have a booth. I'm curious to see what's gonna be. You never know. Guitar shows are, you could find the deal of a lifetime or the what's the opposite of a deal? The biggest highway robbery of a lifetime. I don't know. Do you like Jackson guitars?
I do like Jackson guitars.
I don't really like them. I've tried, honestly.
I like the old, like when they were Charvel Jackson.
A New Jersey, sort
Yeah,
of.
like old soloist or something like that would be cool. But I was
Mhm.
always way more Charvel than Jackson.
Zach, you were a prog guitarist, all of the Mars Volta. I wouldn't say I was anything like Omar, but I was in a Mars Volta-esque band. Would you consider building any pedals that heavily lean into that type of craziness? I don't think so. I actually found a live recording of my old band playing at an old Nashville venue called The Muse. If you're a Nashville resident who've been here for a long time, then you might remember The Muse. It was basically a black room with a really gross bathroom and a stage.
My favorite.
And it had a coffee shop in the front. It was gross, but played there a lot of times. But I have a live recording and just hearing how many times I had a circuit bent flanger. And I'll kick that on and it will go like and all sorts of stuff. We wanted to be the Mars Volta. There's some good riffs, but it was before I knew all my like the modes of the scale.
Modes, yeah.
So my riffs are not that interesting, at least not for longer than 2 minutes. What artists have I been surprised? Wait, have you been most surprised to see using Mythos? Bonnie Raitt. Bonnie Raitt has Mythos. I know that it was used on her recordings.
That'd be cool.
If Bonnie Raitt had a Mythos pedal on her pedal board, I would be. That'd be really cool.
You see, I mean, you see your guys' pedals pop up more and more now. Like I'll
Yeah.
watch some rig video or something, and I'm like, there's a Mythos.
Man, it's surreal. Like we did the interview with Julian, and he said, "Zach, I've been seeing your stuff everywhere. I'm so happy for you." And I was like, "You have?"
Yeah. It's all. I'm pumped every single time I see it. I'm
Man.
like, yes, I love seeing Mythos.
It's surreal. Yeah, I never thought like I'm a real dork. I never thought I would be able to do this.
I know that.
But I don't know. It was cool. I mean, Billy Gibbons using the Argo was pretty rad. Gary Clark Jr. used the Argo, I think, on his last record. That was pretty neat to find that out. He's a cool guy. Money No Object. Is there a guitar you played in the past that you wish you had? Oh, I have one of those. Do you have one of those?
I do have one.
You go first.
It was a 54 gold top.
Oh yeah.
That I played. So I was doing a clinic in Mississippi, and this super small guitar store, and he's just like, "Oh, I got this 54 gold top I'm selling for a buddy. Would you like play?" I'm like, "Yes, I would like to play it."
Yes, please.
And yeah, and it had a Bigsby on it, everything. I mean, it was just like, he's like, how much is this thing? He's like, he's asking 40 for it, and I'm like,
when was that?
That would have been probably 8 years ago or something like that.
40. That's a lot.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's cool. There's a video. I have a video of me trying it out, and I just put. I was like, in your face, Bonamassa. Or something,
I
got one.
Joe takes so much shit, and he's really he's a really nice guy.
I love Joe. I mean, I'm a huge Bonamassa fan.
He did that video recently for Reverb where he like broke down. He had like the actual stuff that Jimmy had at Woodstock, and then they recreated the rig, and he says, "Yeah, if you're trying one of these, just do this." And he had like a fuzz face, and he kicked it on, and it's just going. He's like, "You get $200 off right there." Like I don't know. He talks about how this is vintage gear, and he like holds his Strat around, and it's going like making so much noise. And that's the one thing as guitarists in today's age, especially in the age of modelers and stuff, we tend to forget like that old stuff is like it makes a lot of noise.
It's noise, but side question for you, because how do you feel about silent pickups, like noiseless pickups?
Yeah, there's some I like. I think it's a pickup to pickup thing. I think the EMGs in this Kirk Hammett guitar sound awesome. But lace sensors don't do anything for me. I think some of the stacked DiMarzios are really good, but I don't know.
I was recording one time with P90, and they were silent P90s. Like, man, what is it missing? And then I recorded again with the normal P90s. I'm like, oh, if you really listen, even whenever you're playing, the noise is still there. It's just the output of the guitar is louder than
Right.
the noise. And I'm like, oh, you can hear it. I'm like, and it's almost like an ambient thing that's happening in the background that it fills out the space in a way. I'm like, the noise is part of the tone.
100%. I think the fluent stuff is good too. It's just like, I think it just depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And the guitar that if money was no object that I would have got.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I forgot that we got that question. It was a 58 gold top Les Paul.
Oh.
So it was like the first burst shipped in May of 58. So it was probably like, I don't know when they started bursting them, probably like June or July. So it was prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was perfect. It was perfect. Man. The greatest neck, the best sound. It was one of those things that you just go, there's got to be a way.
What
I
do
can do this?
I mean, I can walk to work.
Like, I just need one kidney. I don't drink. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a good question. We'll end on this. We've been about an hour in here. Jared asks, aside from guitars, what are we nerding out on these days? Mine's very obvious, but I don't know. You've been playing some games lately.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I've been trying to do non-guitar stuff actually, because
I think that's really healthy.
So, my wife always just like, how do you like your hobby's guitar? You play guitar, like you work, you talk about guitar, and then I'm in the living room like watching guitar videos. And she's just like, do you ever get sick of this? I'm like, not really, but
right.
But yeah, I've been playing. I downloaded Halo again. The longest time.
I updated it, so we got to play. We'll do this weekend.
Yes, Halo. I'm like a huge. People make fun of me, like Fortniter, because my son plays Fortnite. And then
if your kiddo's doing it, you have
have an excuse. I'm like, I totally like. I love playing this. And then I want to get Helldiver 2.
That's only on PlayStation.
Is it only PlayStation?
Yeah.
We have a PS5.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Rhett is playing Helldiver, and he was trying to get me to do it. And I was like, I don't want to pay money on another game.
Yeah. Do you only have Xbox?
No, I have everything.
You have everything? Yeah.
I'm one of those guys that like, so I got divorced, like, I mean, years and years and years and years ago. And so after that, all I did was kind of like, I'm just going to, I want to, play games and enjoy myself in my spare time, because I didn't do it as much when I was married. And so, I would go wait in line for all the things. So I've habitually always been like a launch week, get the thing. And so I had a PS5 like right at launch. I had a Switch right at launch, and then I got the Xbox later. But I just play the Xbox the most. But for me, the thing I've been nerding out on. So I've been.
Oh, you got even more of it done.
Yeah, there's way more done. So this is my Neutrona wand from Ghostbusters, and this is all. Oh, it's fine. This is all welded aluminum.
And it was in pieces when I came over here.
It was just in bits and bobs last time you saw it. So I've got it put back together. I'm finishing up some of the wiring. But the coolest thing about it is...
is it? It's working and everything?
It has the barrel extension. There's a bit in the end of the first movie where there is about the end, and Pete goes, "Make them hard," and does that. And I never got it as a kid. But then probably the coolest thing, we might have to cover our face on this. There it goes. In the end of that barrel is a flash bulb, and so that has been retrofitted with an LED. So in the movie, there's a button that's going to go up here with this orange light. That when they push the button, it would pop the flash bulb, and that's how they knew to cue the special effects.
Oh yeah, you were telling me that. Yeah.
So I've got that installed, and I'm slowly but surely getting this thing, and I'm gonna weather it and make it all grody and chipped and beat up, and I'm gonna do like, dirt passes and stuff
with the guitar strings.
Yeah, using old guitar strings to smack it. But yeah, having the extension tube is really cool. It needs a bit of a stronger spring. It's not as lively as I would want it to be. But yeah, really, really fun. This is my therapy.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's cool that it's put together now.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's getting there.
It's getting there.
Honestly, I feel like that part takes as much time as making the Proton Pack, which is, I know it's silly to say. It's all silly.
It's, well, yeah, but I mean, like you said, it's kind of like, you said you come here early in the morning. It's like therapeutic. It's kind of like you're getting the day going, easing into something that you're interested in. So
yeah, it like when I have time, it's nice to get like 15 minutes in. Like, let me screw this part on, or
yeah,
paint this, or let me route all these wires through. It definitely just helps me like turn off my brain for just a moment. Sometimes that is my break in the day, but oftentimes it's like I usually get here like 7:30 or earlier, and I'll make my rounds and then work on this for just a minute.
yeah.
But make it a theremin. Oh man, that'd be funny. Woo.
Well,
I mean, there's
cool.
a thererim in all the soundtracks.
How
be
cool
perfect.
would that be? Oh, like that you've got you can tell the wheels are already turning.
I probably wouldn't do this, but I would make a theremin, or I would buy like a theremin kit and then like dress it. I have so many Ghostbuster parts for things and stickers and labels. That would be really, really dorky. You could put a pickup in it. Yes. Anyway, thanks for hanging, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate you coming and hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for showing up. We're gonna go play some pedals and stuff.
Yeah, I get to play the Herc Deluxe finally.
Here it is. Boink.
You guys bought them all.
Yeah,
they were done for me to try.
I know. We didn't. I had like had one. So,
yeah.
But thanks for hanging out. Use the coupon code there up in the top, and we'll see you on the next one. All right. Bye, everybody.